Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. This is Deb McBride, and I am in very beautiful and breezy Escazú, Costa Rica, on this Sunday, the 2nd of February in the year 2025. And this is the first podcast in the month of February. We are now in the second month of 2025. It's amazing how quickly a month goes, and it feels like just yesterday it was Christmas. But if we are still wondering about this year of 2025, then I recommend you take advantage of my offering of my masterclass from last December, which is called 2025 The Liminal Labyrinth. And it will explain to you, and I explain in the masterclass, all about 2025, what to expect, and how to navigate this year, because that's why I called it the liminal labyrinth, because there's a lot of liminal space. We are in a year where there is going to be a lot of in-between time. The time between planets changing signs, the time between them retrograding back into the sign they were before, and we've got to navigate all of this. It's labyrinthian, and I highly recommend taking a moment and going to my website, thegoldenastrologer.com, and going to book online, and then scrolling through, you'll find the masterclass. It's only $55. And it's a little less than 2 hours, about 2 hours. People ask questions in the masterclass. So it's a good reference for this year. And it really does help when we are navigating various planets changing position. And it's going to be a lot this year. It's really intense. So with that said, we are, one of the planets that we know of was Uranus going direct, and it is going to head into Gemini later this year. So that was the other day, and I have to say that this past week was just over the top. It was too much, just too much. There were sleepless nights. There were hours waking up startled. There were various points when just things were loco, as they say here in Costa Rica, muy loco. And, between Wednesday and Thursday, I was exhausted. I was exhausted from just working through all the flying energy of Wednesday and Thursday. My one friend said to me the last 2 weeks, she feels like she's been in a blender. And yeah, this has been just a topsy-turvy few days. So Thursday, I had to navigate the cleaning lady coming. I had 2 deliveries coming. I had to be here for all of them. I'm trying to find out when everybody's coming. People are stuck in traffic. And then surprise, Ronald, the repair guy, shows up at my gate, and he's like, hi, because he's got to repair my neighbor's bathroom, his shower, as he did for my shower last year in May. And so then the drilling started. So I've got people running in, people running out, deliveries coming, stuff happening, people stuck in traffic trying to get to me, waiting for them to deliver stuff so I could run out there and get it. And there's drilling going on. So I'm trying to work in the middle of all of this. And I didn't expect Ronald, the repair guy, to be coming, but he did repair my sink in the kitchen. So that was a good thing. And he was in and out trying to do repairs while my cleaning lady was trying to mop the floor. So it was all too much, all at once, all at the same time. But okay. Meditation kept me sane. And that helped a whole lot. But it was just too much. It was back and forth and just too much. So yes, I'm sure that each of you had your own drama to navigate, or surprises to navigate, and how that went. You can let me know how that went, and how was Uranus going direct for you. People came out of the woodwork for me too. Like all of a sudden there were things that I had to contend with. Yesterday there were some things. People showing up on my texts, people saying, can I talk to you? And something unusual happened. And then there was another surprise that wasn't really a good surprise. It was work related. So I'm glad today's quiet. And yesterday was the 1st of February, and it was a lovely aspect. So we had something very lovely that I talked about on Instagram, which was the moon, Venus, and Neptune and the North Node all lined up together in the sign of Pisces. Now, this is a beautiful, beautiful moment, and we don't get these very often. We get them very infrequently, and they're going to stop because Neptune is going to leave Pisces, and it's been there for like 12, 13 years, and it's going to finally leave. And the next time Venus comes through next year, it will be definitively in Aries. Neptune will be in Aries. But we're going to get this one more time around the 27th, 28th of March. So let me explain this a little bit. So the moon acts as a trigger. It's emotional, it's sensitive, but it acts as a trigger. It whizzes through because it goes very fast. And Venus and Neptune lined up, and then the moon came in and triggered them. So I saw the moon and Venus in the sky last night. It was absolutely heavenly. They were just gorgeous, and it was this beautiful crescent moon next to Venus, very brightly in the sky. And Venus is currently an evening star. That will change because Venus is going to be a morning star once she goes retrograde and finishes that. So what's happening now is that they are at the very end of the zodiac. They're at 28 degrees Pisces. This is the end of the zodiac. This is, and I've talked about this before. I've talked about the end of the zodiac before, and I'll talk about it again because it's a very important point this particular year. The end of the zodiac is where we surrender. It's where we have the moment where we have to let go, where we have to release, where we have to trust God, universe, Mother Nature, where we have to connect with our own sense of trust within ourselves, and where we have to step into what is the unknown. We have to leap into the unknown and trust things are going to be okay, and if they aren't entirely okay, that we're going to be able to handle it. Because it's the end before it transfers to Aries, which starts the zodiac all over again. Aries is the first sign. So there are degrees. Every sign is 30 degrees, and Neptune and Venus are currently at 28, which means they have 29 to go through, and then that's it. Then we turn into Aries. So as we process this, there's a lot of prayer, atonement, surrender, connecting with universe and spirit, and having gratitude and faith in our life. And this is a very, very important thing to be aware of. It also heightens our sense of the spiritual, the mystical. It also heightens our sense of intuition. This is all very important, and it is very important to get connected to those things right now, to connect to the benevolent guide, to connect to the guidance that we receive from whatever we believe in, whoever we're talking to in spirit. If you believe in any of that, I find it's helpful to know that I'm not alone and that spirit has my back. So yesterday it was a Venus-Neptune conjunction and a Moon-Neptune conjunction and a Moon-Venus conjunction, and that means they're all in the same place at the same time with the North Node, which is the node of destiny. And the fact that they were with the node means in order to sense fulfillment, in order to sense a sense of really moving your life forward, you've got to trust. You have to have faith, and you have to surrender to some certain degree. The South Node, because the North Node is in Pisces, the South Node is in Virgo. They are opposite, equal and opposite points. The South Node is always about where old habits die hard and where we are not going to get fulfillment or satisfaction, for that matter. We think we're going to get satisfaction where the South Node is and where it travels and where it is in our chart. But it's not that case. The real satisfaction comes from the fulfillment of where the North Node is. Again, surrender, atonement, connection to spirit. South Node in Virgo wants to control things. It wants to calculate and analyze and come up with the answers and do the math and organize the spreadsheets, and thinks if it can control and analyze and go into all the details of the information, it's going to provide an answer, and a satisfying answer. It's not. Well, you can do all the math you want to, and unless you're doing your taxes, you're not going to come up with a satisfactory answer, because technically right now the answer is to trust. And when we trust, we get fulfilled. I felt like I got that little message last night, seeing Venus and the moon in the sky. They were so beautiful, so gorgeous in this clear. I couldn't believe it was clear enough to see them here, because it's often cloudy here, but they were just gorgeous. And my teacher, and I've said this before too, my teacher would say, with the South Node in Virgo and the North Node in Pisces, and the same if you have the South Node in the 6th house and the North Node in the 12th, which are the natural places of Virgo and Pisces. He says, this feels like, God forbid you let God handle the details. And this is the truth. I mean, it's so right on as far as worrying, controlling, harboring worries and emotions and things, when you just say, okay, I can't control it. It's out of my hands. I've just got to go for it. And that's what these planets are here trying to teach us right now. Now, the other thing is that Venus and Neptune, when they are together, are deeply creative, deeply intuitive, very psychic, very artistic as well. They encourage lots of beautiful creations and creative problem solving. Now, you don't have to be an artist, but if you do have artistic abilities, this is a great time to practice them, or to reignite them, or pull out your paint or your sketch pad or your gardening tools. And this is a great time to invest in that energy, because it's going to bring a measure of satisfaction to you. And just sort of getting lost in that activity, getting lost in the creativity, whether you make bread, whether you bake a cake, whether you garden, whether you go out and buy new paint supplies, something, whatever that is for you, whether you sing. Venus, Neptune is in Pisces is like a songbird. Take advantage of this energy. It's still with us today and tomorrow. And, I actually went out to the orchid show. There was an orchid show yesterday, and I didn't even know about it. I was asking the orchid group. Nobody knew. Nobody said anything. And finally, it rolled across my page, and I found it on social media, and I was like, yes. And my friend and I decided we were going to go, and we met there yesterday afternoon. And it was the perfect time for looking at orchids, being surrounded by beauty. We were surrounded by nature and beauty, and it was just lovely. It was incredible. It was so fulfilling just to see how people care for these flowers, and they cultivate them, and they bring them to the show, and they're so beautifully arranged. And there's an orchid show there. They do a judging before they let the public in, and I guess the public was allowed in on Friday, so they probably judged Wednesday or Thursday. But the display is there, and then you can buy orchids. And so I bought some orchids, and I was posting them on Instagram yesterday and today, and they are just darling. I have a lot of good luck with orchids. I've never realized how simple and straightforward orchids really are. Roses, it's another thing. But orchids, you think orchids, they're complicated. They look complicated. And some of them are really exotic looking. And they're an exotic flower. And they grow in the wild here. So, I'm always happy to take home another orchid and just, learn to cultivate, work with it, feed it, nurture it, take care of it, my babies. Fantastic. So I was very happy to do that, and it was going on today as well. However, there is always dark and light, as I always say, and so the darker qualities of Venus and Neptune are not trusting, are getting all caught up in the details and the worry. It's also one of the harder parts of this is to be tricked. So Neptune is a tricky planet. Pisces is a tricky sign. Venus is exalted in Pisces, so she loves to be there. And so her experience in Pisces is usually a good one. But when she gets caught up with Neptune, sometimes, she picks up a few tricks from him. And that means that she is fooling you when it comes to love and romance. So you might meet someone, like this is the perfect recipe for a mess. Mars is retrograde, right? Till the 23rd of February. And so it's Venus, Neptune, and you're like, ooh, let's go out and have some fun. Let's get a little tipsy. Oh, isn't that person adorable across the room? And you get into trouble because Mars in retrograde is not going to permit something going forward as a functioning, clear, healthy relationship. Okay? So you've got to be really careful to not get blinded. And we get blinded. Absolutely. We get things like, yeah, I know it's Mars retrograde, but this seems so right for a moment. And this is the nature of Venus and Neptune when they get together. You have to make sure that you're not being robbed, that you're not being fooled, that you're not being toyed with, that something you thought was very real is not. This is the warning that comes with this. And they're still hanging in the air together. And they're going to be back together again at the end of March. So remember what I said. They're going to come back together at the end of March. They are going to see one another in Pisces with the moon again, March 27th, 28th, and the North Node. But Venus won't be an evening star then. In fact, the 27th of March is when she becomes a morning star. She'll disappear for a little while. March 19th is the last time you'll see her in the evening sky, so enjoy her. And look up when you see bright stars, either Jupiter or Venus. And if it's near the moon right now, it's Venus. And so, this is a very tricky aspect, this Venus-Neptune. I recommend that you keep your headlights on, keep yourself focused. Don't let yourself get fooled by anybody, and just keep your wits about you. This is something we need to be aware of. You could be out shopping and get robbed. You could be, it could be a normal thing that you could get overcharged for something. You go to the store and you're like, wait a minute, they charged me too much. And I have to go back and prove that I didn't get 2 of these. I only got 1. That kind of stuff. Things happen with Venus, Neptune. You have to pay attention. Okay. Or don't put yourself out. Stay home and bake your cake and use your creativity. We get, a little, frivolous with our money too with Venus Neptune. So these are things that we need to be paying attention to right now. And then again at the end of March when they are both in Pisces again. As I mentioned, the 3rd time they get together, they will be in Aries. And that end of March is going to be the last time they're going to connect in our lifetime in the sign of Pisces. So it's a beautiful thing because Venus is exalted there. She's not exalted in Aries. So when they meet in Aries, it's a different dynamic. It's different energy. It's fire. It's not Venus's favorite place. So be aware of this. Use this energy creatively. Venus is going to come back to Pisces when she retrogrades. But as of tomorrow, she is going into Aries. 11:57 p.m. Pacific time, which means on Tuesday the 4th, it's going to be 2:57 a.m. Eastern time. So depending on where you live, you may live in Europe and it happens, later in the day already for you. It's Venus and going into Aries. And this is where she's going to retrograde. She's going to get to about 10 degrees or so, and then she's going to turn around. And then she's going to head back into Pisces and spend a lot of time there with Saturn and with Neptune, which I talked about a couple weeks ago on my podcast. We will be reviewing these again, and I do talk about it at length in my Liminal Labyrinth 2025 masterclass, again, if you'd like to get a hold of that. Now, Tuesday, we also have a big event as Jupiter is going direct. Jupiter is the planet that rules Sagittarius. It also is the original ruler of Pisces, so there's more of that Piscean energy. Jupiter is the planet of abundance. It is the planet of expansion. And it has been retrograde since October 9th. So tomorrow we have one last day of Jupiter retrograde, and on Tuesday at 4:40 a.m. Eastern time, Jupiter will go direct. This is good news. We like when planets go direct because they free themselves up to be available more readily for us, as opposed to sort of us going back into the internal space to work with that planet's energies, expansion, abundance, how we feel about those things. And so going forward this week is a great, great thing. It's also going to help us feel like we can go forward emotionally, psychologically, with our expansive plans, our sense of abundance. The times that Jupiter goes retrograde are the times when we want to go internally and remove the obstacles, the blockages, the beliefs that no longer serve us, because Jupiter also rules over beliefs. But those three things, to anything that prevents us from expanding or being abundant or feeling abundant. So Jupiter's in Gemini. Gemini is the sign ruled by Mercury, and they are going to talk to each other very nicely. Mercury in Aquarius and Jupiter in Gemini. In fact, they're talking very nicely to each other now. And then tomorrow, the 3rd, 4:52 p.m., they will talk to each other very nicely. Mercury and Jupiter. Lots of ideas. This is food for ideas. This is a great time to be thinking about, your creative projects, what you want to focus on, where you want to expand your life, what part of your life is ready for expansion and openness and abundance. If you are a Gemini, a Sagittarius, a Virgo, or a Pisces, you're going to feel this particularly because that's where Jupiter is. It's with those signs, the mutable signs, and it is swinging open a door that feels like it's been kind of stuck since last October 9th. So maybe Jupiter was in your career house, has been in your career house, and you feel like you've been trying to get some answers around promotions, around your career, around what's next for you career-wise. You're trying to expand your business, and now it's going to step forward. This is good news. We like this. We like when the planets go direct because they free up the energy for us and they're more available. It's good to do the internal work. Without the internal work, we don't move forward, right? When we do the internal work, the quiet work, the meditative work, the internal experience of self, and come to recognition of beliefs that no longer serve us or energies that no longer serve us, and clear all that out, that's when we magnetize new things. That's when we put ourselves in a different space. That's when we're vibrating at a different frequency, right? So we're bringing in different things that are an energetic match for us. If you want to bring something into your life, you want to shift your beliefs. Thoughts carry frequency. Thoughts carry energy. You want to stop harping on the old thoughts, stay out of the past, as Dr. Joe Dispenza says, and move forward to a more open future so that you can bring in the new. You got to clear out the old. It's like your basement. You got to clear out your basement so that you can bring other things in or leave space. You want to make space energetically in your being in order to bring new things in, right? So Jupiter allows us to free ourselves up, clear out the old beliefs, and welcome in new energies. Jupiter is a planet of luck and a planet of fortune. We like to make space for those things. Of course we do. So in the course of the week, the moon will then go into Gemini on Thursday the 6th, and they are going to meet up in the sign of Gemini, the moon and Jupiter. And that's going to occur at 9:16 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday the 6th. And this is another jolt of energy. It should relate back to Tuesday. So maybe what will happen is there'll be some opportunities flowing to us. We'll start to notice it Tuesday, maybe Thursday we have a meeting about it, etc. These are the way these things go. Jupiter starts moving, other planets start talking to it, and we start embracing the new opportunities, the new energy that Jupiter is bringing in. The sun right now, which is in Aquarius, of course, is connecting with Jupiter in a very nice way also. So this is a positive week. I don't expect it to be nuts like last week. I don't expect the chaos of last week because this is a different planet. Though, planets like Uranus and then Jupiter, not even a week later, this is a lot of energy stirring in the heavens, right? So things are moving. They're not staying still. We're not stagnant. Despite Mars's backwards motion, we're not staying still, and we shouldn't stay still. Time to keep flowing in the direction of positive things. That's what Jupiter brings. Speaking of Mars is kind of busy this week. It's going to talk to Chiron tomorrow, Monday the 3rd at 9:44 p.m. That's just an experience of, maybe unraveling an old wound. Mars is in Cancer, Chiron's in Aries. It's sort of being aware of connecting to that old wound and potentially working through and healing it. Mars is also going to be talking to Saturn at the end of the week, Sunday the 9th, the next time we meet. Mars will be trining Saturn because they're both in water signs. And the moon is also going to be in Cancer on Sunday the 9th, and they are all going to meet up. The moon will meet up with Mars as it's talking to Saturn. But this is good. This is actually good. This is not something that we are going to feel an ouch about. This is more progress, thinking about how we want to step forward, securing things in our lives because, Cancer is about security. And with Saturn in Pisces, it's about reimagining the areas of our lives that need maybe a little more structure, a little more security, that we could take some initiation towards. Mars and Saturn could be very productive. Even with Mars retrograde, we could get a lot done with Mars and Saturn in trine in a very flowing aspect. So pay attention to that next weekend. That'll last, for a few days. The other thing is that Mercury and the Sun are going to conjunct next Sunday at 7:08 a.m. Eastern Time, and that is a frequent aspect because Mercury and the Sun travel close together. They'll be in Aquarius, and this is a great time for any intellectual work. Again, ideas. This is a great week for ideas, The ideas that are flowing from us, sit down with yourself, jot down your ideas, get creative, spend a little time, work with ideas that you've been having, things you want to improve in your life. This is a great week to start improving things because of Jupiter moving forward. So that's always improvements. And, certainly towards the end of the week, we have lots of energy that supports improvements. And Venus is talking very nicely to Pluto on Friday the 7th. So that's also creative improvement. Really good. There's also, with Mercury and the Sun together, it's great for analysis. If you have to do any analysis and informational analysis, these are good times to do it, when next weekend and the start of next week. At the start of this week, tomorrow the 3rd, the moon is void all day in this region of the world. So 5:19 a.m. the moon goes void. It doesn't go out of void until 10:33 p.m. when it goes into Taurus. It's in Aries right now. So what does the void moon mean? We haven't talked about that in a while. The void moon is a time when the moon is no longer speaking to the other planets as it travels to the end of a sign. So it's moving through Aries now. Tomorrow morning in Eastern time, 5:19 a.m., the moon will go void and be there till 10:33 p.m. It is not a good day. Not a good day to start something new. Now, it's hard to start something new with Mars retrograde anyway, but it's a good day to do business as usual. This is like whenever the moon is void, doesn't matter what the rest of the planets are doing. But when the moon goes void, this is not a day to apply for a job. This is not a day to start making phone calls about a new job. This is not a day. It's a great day for research. It's not a day to initiate something new because you're planting your seeds in gravel. So tomorrow, with things as the way they are, with the moon void in Aries, with its ruler retrograde, I'd say just keep going. Do what you need to do. Take care of some home tasks, some business tasks. Just do your work as usual. Don't expect anything new to show up. Maybe that will be Tuesday, but it's not going to be Monday. Monday is not a day for initiating things. It's not a plant your seeds day. And the Farmer's Almanac, these are times that they pay attention to because it's not the time to plant your garden, to plant your crops. So they follow the moon very closely. And, when the moon is void, your seeds don't take. The energy fizzles out. It's not a high energy day. It's a day you can get a lot done on business as usual. promoting yourself, putting your work out there, doing the things you always do, business as usual. But if something has become business as usual, and maybe 6 months ago it was something new, that's fine. It's just, feeding your business is what you need to do. Feeding your work, doing things around your house, stuff that doesn't have consequences. That's what we like when the moon is void. However, if you have something meaningful you need to do, I wouldn't do it tomorrow. Enjoy this void moon. Be a little lazy if you need to. It's okay, because we've got a lot of heavy energy this year with things changing signs. So many things changing signs that indicate the end of an era and the end of a long era in the case of Neptune and in the case of Uranus, that right now we're in a nice little groove. Just allow that little groove to continue. Do some great work this week. Get creative. There's enough going on this week to keep us flowing and busy and productive. So use the energy wisely. Thank you so much for listening. It has been a beautiful experience sharing the astrology with you of the week ahead. Once again, gratitude to everyone. And if you'd like to investigate this more about how this is all affecting you, especially with the big changes we have coming up this year, then I suggest you book a session with me. Go to my website, thegoldenastrologer.com, click book online, and get yourself an astrology session. If you are feeling that you need some peace and healing, navigating all of this heavy energy, definitely set up a Reiki session. I'm also available for expansion mentoring if you'd like to spend 3, 6, or 12 months with me, working with me, and working with the dynamics of your life and up-leveling your life to embrace something new. I hope you have a beautiful week ahead. I will see you next Sunday, the 9th. And in the meantime, you can see me on Instagram, The Golden Astrologer. Have a lovely week. Gratitude to all.